Hey guys, Viking 82 here, back with another Viking Orations. Got yet another review for you today, and this time around, I'm going to be talking to you about the brand new album from the band Detherous, entitled Unrelenting Malevolence, out now on Redefining Darkness Records. Now, if you're not familiar with Detherous, they are a death thrash band from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Been around since 2014, featuring uh, Dimitri LaRose. Hopefully, I pronounced your name right. If not, I apologize. On the drums, Damon McDonald on guitars and vocals. You have Ryan Hunter on session guitars, Scott Cressman on session bass. And I will note on here, though, since this album, the band is now a trio completed by Jared Wisecki. Hopefully I pronounced that right. On bass. But yeah, Ryan Hunter and Scott Cressman appear on this album simply as session musicians. But yeah, this is the band's second full-length album. It is 10 tracks, just a little over 45 and a half minutes in length. And, you know, I've been a fan of this band ever since I received their 2019 album Hacked to Death in a Metalhead box. So I was very excited when they announced this album and immediately pre-ordered the CD. And I was even more excited when I received the promo of this album because this album just absolutely rips, in my opinion. I was very glad that my CD copy showed up in time for me to do this review because I've been wanting to do this review for a while, but because of my recent health issues and everything, things got put on the back burner. And like I said, I'm really trying to catch up. But yeah, beautifully packaged CD. And like I said, this whole thing just rips, in my opinion. The guitar work, much like the debut, is just fantastic in my opinion, with a great tone to them that's nice and crunchy. It's fast-paced riffing for the most part, but it also has some more mid-paced sections with really headbangable gallops and grooves. A good example of that is track number 8, Tormented by the Dead. That opening right there is very, one of those tracks you just like, yeah, just can't help but headbang to it. And this thing is just filled with just absolutely blistering guitar solos. I mean, there's times I was listening to the solos, and I'm like, how in the hell are their fingers not falling off? I mean, it's crazy to me. But as I listened to this album, I could also hear some Cannibal Corpse at times in their riffing. Some examples of that: the lead-off track, Interminable Mutilation at 116, and then later on the opening to the track, number 6, Reek of the Decayed, which those are perfect songs to have Cannibal Corpse riffs in. I mean, listen to those titles. But I also heard some Slayer in the riffing as well throughout. Good examples, track number 3, Gruesome Tools of Torture, with that opening galloping riff. And then, especially in that song, when you get to about the 22-second mark, when it's combined with the drum beat, very Slayer-esque in my opinion. And then the opening to track 4, Encased in Gore, another very Slayer-esque opening in my opinion. The bass tone on here has a little twang to it, which I dig. And in fact, overall, it really reminded me of Alex Webster's tone, which, he's one of my not only favorite bassists in death metal, but in metal in general. It's very easily heard throughout the album, despite not being super high up in the mix. And then, much like his guitar work, I think Damon's vocal performance on here is just fantastic. He has this pissed off, deathly shout that's kind of gritty and gruff. Not quite growled, but he does occasionally do some little bit of growls here and there. Very strong performance from him. And then I saved the drums for last because honestly, they were one of the most impressive parts, or I should say, not the most impressive, but one that really stood out to me the most when I was listening to this, because only one word can describe the drums on here, and that is powerful. Lots of great patterns, rolls, and fills, blast beats now and then, and I love his double bass work, especially his kind of burst, galloping double bass patterns, and he really hits these drums with authority. I mean, it's just the tone that they got with his drums, the sound is just massive to me. Now, occasionally he does these kind of like hits or patterns on the toms that seem random, yet somehow they work. I mean, a very good example of that, listen to the lead-off track, Interminable Mutilation, at the 312 mark. It's like he's, doing this beat, and then he's like, dum, dum, dum. It's like he just randomly does it, but it works for some reason. I mean, the first time you hear it, you're just kind of like, that sounds a little off, but then the more you hear it, it's like, okay, it's kind of making sense. And then finally, they cap this album off with just an absolutely raging cover of Skull Fracturing Nightmare by Demolition Hammer. Really well done cover. Um, Overall, this is just an absolute banger of an album, in my opinion. I mean, the fact the title has Unrelenting is very apt because, as you know, once you hit play, these guys pummel you unrelentingly. It's fast, it's pissed off, it's aggressive, yet it has some hookiness to it that to me, makes this an album that this is how death thrash should be. This is how you make a death thrash album. Aggressive with just that little bit of hookiness to it that draws you back for more. One of those albums that, like a glutton for punishment, you return to it to get your ass kicked over and over again. I would give this one a solid 9 out of 10. Definitely go check these guys out. I will be leaving a link down below so you can check this out for yourself and pick up a copy. Also, pick up a copy of their debut. I think there's still CDs left. I could be wrong, but I know these are readily available, and I will be leaving a link down below to it. So, yeah, go check this out. 9 out of 10 from me. That is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.